Hello, I'm Dr. Ada Wells, physical therapist, and welcome to this Balanced Body video. Today, we're going to be working on some little tips that are going to help you prepare your golf trip from the ground up. All we're going to need is a spine fitter and then also a spring that you can attach to either a tower, to a trapeze table, to a tower on the go, or that you can even do with a resistance band. Stay tuned. All right, so let's go ahead and get started here. So we're going to start with our spine fitter just for a little foot warm-up, and this is going to be brief. And the nice part about just using the spine fitter is this is something you can actually take with you on your golf trip. It's also something that is very portable around your home to be able to just get the feet a little bit warmed up and working on a little bit of balance. So placing the spine fitter on the floor, we're just going to start with the heels on the floor. The balls of your feet are going to be on the spine fitter. And just starting with a little side-to-side weight shift. Now, I'm going to invite you at any point in time, if you need to hold on to something, you can. And also, instead of just going side to side as well, there's nothing wrong with playing around with a little circular movement. So feel free to try any of these depending on your balance level, your mobility in your ankles. This is going to help with a bit with that mobility. All right, and play with those circles in both directions. Now, we're going to go ahead and continue with the same theme, but all we're going to do is now make it a little bit more interesting by just simply floating the heels up off the floor. So with the heels floated off the floor, I now just have the balls of my feet on the spine fitter. We're going to once again do that little side-to-side weight shift. It's a little tougher from here. And if you want, you can try some circles or ovals and see how that goes. Once again, not a bad idea to have a wall, door frame, desk, countertop in front of you, just to make sure you don't go falling over. All right, now let's go ahead and we're going to take your feet so that your heels, or more of the back part of your foot, is on the spine fitter. And same thing, we're going to go ahead and just do a little weight shift side to side. This will probably be your easiest direction. And we're going to just do some circles here. Be a little easier to manage that. And circling around the other direction. All right. No problem so far. Let's go ahead now and make things a little bit more interesting. We're going to go ahead and go back to our original position with those heels down. Now, you're going to just pretend we're kind of what we call an uphill lie, where we're standing uphill, so those feet are up. You're now going to be down here about to tee off or hit your ball. And from this position, being mindful that you're keeping your knees in line, once again, let's just go ahead and do that weight shift. So keeping the heels down is going to make you get a little bit of an extra stretch at the Achilles tendon. Maybe you might feel this a little bit at the ankle joint in the front. But at any rate, you need that ankle mobility in your golf swing. You need the ankle mobility just for an efficient mover. So here we are. All right. Now, we're going to do that same thing. Instead of just having the heels down on the floor the whole time, float both those heels up just a little bit. This is going to add to just more of a balance component. And it's going to be a little trickier, a little harder here. All right, but see how you do. Once again, I won't be mad if you decide you want to grab a golf club and go for it. And then we can go ahead and do the same with those heels up and then just going back and forth. So once again, just this idea of getting some mobilization at the lower parts of your foot and ankle and being able to work a little bit with this balance. All right, we're going to stand up here. We're going to take a little small break for a second from the spine fitter. And if you happen to have any loops that are the larger, I love the double loops here from Balanced Body. These work great. But a little larger loop will work along with a spring. Now I'm going to use a red short spring here, mostly so I stay in the frame for this video. But as strong of a spring as you have that you can do this with, we're going to go ahead and take your strap here. We're going to move our spine fitter just a touch here for a minute and place your foot inside the loop. Now, I'm going to scoot the spine fitter a bit forward so that when I have this resistance pulling, it's going to be pulling back right at the crease of my ankle. And I'm going to see if I can sneak my foot up here so that it's right at the ball of the foot is on the spine fitter. And I'm just going to do a little forward and back weight shift. All right, so basically this is trying to pull back right at the ankle joint. Now this other foot that's on the floor, you can keep it behind you, or if you want to kind of make things a little bit more, a little spicier, you could actually take it in front of you. Okay, that's going to give you a little bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but a little stronger mobilization to the ankle. Try the best you can to keep that back ankle down as we move forward and back. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to come off of that, and I'll invite you to walk around the room a little bit and see how that ankle feels compared to the other one. The contrast is often very interesting, okay? We're going to go ahead and continue that with the other side. So once again, just be mindful of how you're changing the spring and your own body mechanics here. You get that strap down as far as you can, and then go ahead. You can think about if you were in a little bit of an addressed position and just doing that little forward and back weight shift. Okay, and as mentioned before, you can start with that back leg or that floor leg behind you, or if you can get it in front of you, here we go. It's a challenge sometimes to get there if you have some mobility issues at your ankle, but if you can get it forward, continue with this little forward and back weight shift. You might repeat this anywhere between 5 to 10 times, more or less, you know, if you're feeling like it's helping you. And then from here, we'll go ahead, come on out of that. And once again, take a walk. Your ankles are going to feel great, and you're going to be like, hey, I'm going to be able to really do a lot from here. Because once again, remember in the swing, there's a lot of spiraling that has to happen that starts from the bottom. All right, now the fun part, the hips. So if you're able to now have your anchor point a bit higher, maybe about even with where your hip joint is, or somewhere in that neighborhood. We're not going to worry about the spine fitter so much at the moment, but we will use it in a second. Let's go ahead. We're going to first take your strap, place it as high up on your leg as you can. The closer to your hip joint, the better. And from here, you can go ahead and take yourself out so that you're feeling that pull. The spring wants to pull me back towards its anchor. You're going to go ahead and just press away. So feel free just to allow yourself to kind of press into the spring, moving back and forth. And this is where it's really important that you make sure you have this attached to a strong anchor point. So those of you that are using a spring that may not, or a rubber band, a resistance band, just make sure it's around something strong and make sure you're not going to be falling down some stairs if for some reason something were to go. Okay, hopefully that's not going to be the case. All right, so here we are back and forth, nice and easy. All right, now we're going to go ahead and just stay put, and you're just going to move into just a little squat to stand. Now, I'm doing this from the floor right now just so that you can kind of get used to what you're dealing with. But we have the spine fitter, which once again makes things a little spicier if we want. So I'm going to go ahead and take this spine fitter, bring it on over, and let's go ahead and continue with what we just did using the spine fitter. So we can go ahead and have this little weight shift back and forth. And you can do this with your feet in a variety of positions. We've already played with our feet with the heels down, level, and with the heels sort of up a little bit. And once again, you can kind of sort of find your address position. You can actually just go down a little deeper, play with the angles of your hip, play with the straightening and bending of your knees, and just have this experience on the spine fitter here, all right? Now, we're going to go ahead, turn around so that you're facing forward. Once again, getting that up as high as you can. We'll start this without the spine fitter first. I'm going to go ahead and just get this front leg. So once again, I'm pulling quite a bit, so this is wanting to pull me back. Get yourself forward, and all we're going to do is just a little weight shift forward and back. Now, if you'd like, you can actually focus a little bit on that back foot and just let that back foot roll up, roll down. All right, so that just allows you to get a little bit of control through that back leg. Great for some gait work. And if you'd like, you can actually play a little bit with dynamic balance once again, and just letting the back leg float as you're doing this weight shifting movement. All right, now let's go ahead and just keep this sprung on the same leg. Simply switch the leg position. All right, now there's going to be a little more resistance to the back leg. You're going to push to let yourself roll up through that back leg and then roll down. All right, going up and down. Now, if you're sitting there looking at that spine fitter saying, wow, that's sitting there, I could do these things while using the spine fitter, you're absolutely correct. And what's great is that we can play with this with the spine fitter in different configurations. There's no reason why we always have to keep things, transverse to us. We can certainly do things parallel. And we'll do a little bit on the other leg with that. All right, so let's go ahead. We're going to keep it on this side. Now this time, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to spin around. I'm going to slide it down a little bit so it's right at the back of the knee. Once again, I'm going to just move this for a moment. And you want to be back far enough to where this spring is trying to basically pull your leg forward. All right, if I were just to relax my leg, the spring is basically holding it, towards the anchor point. See if you can get your back toe down, and then you're going to go ahead and just straighten that knee, bend the knee. So here we're just finding your moment of height, just getting a little bit more control through the knee. And then I'll invite you to take your stance just a little bit wider. Go ahead and come into a little more of a golf stance. And same thing, just play a little bit with just moving this leg back and forth. This movement is less, how would you say, it has less of a wow effect than the other movements, but I like it because it just works on some knee control. And anytime we can work on knee control, I'm like, hey, we're already here, let's do it. All right, so now we'll go ahead and come on up. Now we're going to take that band, or take your spring, slide it back up again if you were able to. This time, instead of just facing straight away, you might have to kind of let yourself be sort of oriented so that the spring doesn't pinch you in the front. Okay, and you'll see this on the other side. We're going to kind of do the same little back and forth weight shift that we did before. I'm going to move the spine fitter here just for this demonstration, going forward and back, or our back and forth here. All right, so we got the back and forth movement. And then we can go ahead and just keep everything steady. We can go into that little squat to stand. Trying to keep the body pretty even. And we could also just go ahead and keep ourselves in our address position and just play a little bit with the weight shift. And once again, there's no reason why we can't do a little circular movement. All right, and we'll go ahead and we'll come on out of this. So as I mentioned before when we did this with the ankle, I invite you to go walk around. Take a moment to just experience how much different the hip that we just worked on feels. The golf swing relies on so much mobility in the hip. When you've been traveling a lot, or if you are traveling, it's just tough because you are stuck in a position sitting probably for longer than you want to be. And just being able to have that mobility in your hip is going to make a huge difference when you go ahead and you make that first, especially that first big drive at the first hole. Nothing's worse than hurting your back because you didn't rotate through the hips, in case what you did is you actually had stiff hips and rotated through the back. All right, so we can do the same series on the other side. Just for demonstration here, we can do these things using the spine fitter as well. Like I said, any of these variations work well. I'm going to go ahead and lower this back down. There's no reason I have to do it on the other side. It's all just, I can move myself in relationship to the anchor. All right, so once again, it's down at the lowest part. We're going to go ahead and start with that heel down. The floor leg can be just behind you, just doing that little weight shift. You can have the spine fitter underneath you if you want a little extra. You can have your foot on the floor if for some reason it's too much. Okay, now I'm stiffer on this ankle, so I'm not quite sure if I'll be able to get it over here. All right, I am, but I don't have a whole lot of movement. Okay, and that's okay. I'm gonna just keep myself here, just shifting a little bit forward and back. Now, I'm not getting much forward and back, so I'm gonna actually do a little bit of an up and down movement. All right, so I'm actually moving a bit more into that ankle dorsiflexion here. If I can find that place of ankle dorsiflexion and then find a shift, that's going to be a great place to be. But once again, you got to go with what the person has, and here we are. All right, so using the spine fitter there, like I said, I can go certainly bring it up. Oops, we got to change the anchor point position. So it's up higher. Bring it up closer to the hip. And then we already talked about how we can do that shifting side to side. So I certainly, once again, can do the same little shift side to side. Now what I didn't show you on the other side that you can do here is simply a little bit more dynamic balance by taking your leg that's on the outside and maybe stepping that back and forth. So we're stepping over that spine fitter. All right, this starts to get us in a little bit more multi-dimensions. Really working on that dynamic balance. And once again, you can get yourself more into where you would be in your address position. And there we go. All right, we went ahead and we played a little bit with it facing forward. So once again, let's go ahead and bring, actually I'm going to keep this parallel just for something different here. We can go ahead and place that foot as far forward as you can. Once again, the first movement is just kind of letting yourself have a little bit of a forward and back weight shift. And as you're doing that, feel free to roll up and down on that back foot. And if you want to go ahead and find a little bit of dynamic balance, go airborne. Okay, so as mentioned, I can have the spine fitter in this orientation, so more of my foot is supported on here. Or I could place it transverse, okay? Now, actually, I will just put it transverse for this next example. So the first one, I had the leg behind. I certainly can actually now send that back, sorry, the sprung leg behind, and the front leg is forward. Now I can roll a little bit up and down. Now you just have to watch that your spine fitter doesn't roll out from underneath you too much. Sometimes this works a little better if you've got it on a mat. All right, and just doing a little forward and back movement. So once again, we're mobilizing the foot, but we're also working on that calf control here. All of this is going to help with balance and gait. All right, we're going to go ahead and come on off of there. And then we're going to go ahead and turn around. Once again, we want to work a little bit of our terminal knee extension here. The trickiest part is find the place you can go. There we go. Where you're getting, actually on this one, we're going to bring it down to the knee. Sorry about that. It's finding the place you can be where you're able to still get a straightening of the leg, and you're having to work a little bit more. I'm kind of starting with one leg down so I know what I'm dealing with. There we go. All right, so we can actually have this leg floating and we can straighten it. Now, I've got my leg where I want it, so now I can place my other leg here, find your high point here, and then go ahead, straighten and bend. As mentioned, we can play with this a little bit with the heels floating, and it becomes a bit more of a balance challenge with this external force trying to knock us off balance. Okay, nothing wrong with go ahead and coming down into a little bit more of where you might be in a golf address position and playing with floating the heel up. All right, and it's just about balance here. Okay, so there's that one. Now we're going to slide that strap all the way back up towards the outside or a little higher up. So now when we're shifting back and forth, it's trying to pull us back towards the anchor once again. And here we've got our spine fitter once again. And like I said, you may have to kind of orient yourself just slightly forward. So it is pulling you, but just watching that it's not bothering you too much in the front here. And that side-to-side weight shift back and forth. Play with it a little bit in your golf address position. And then feel free to play with it a little bit where you're walking back and forth. All right. Okay, so that, my friends, should give you some ideas of some things you could feel. Your hips should feel like they have a wonderful amount of mobility in them. And you could go ahead and finish up. Actually, I'll end with one last thing, and that's making sure we get some thoracic mobility. So nothing wrong with going ahead and lying down, maybe putting your mid-back on your spine fitter, and then doing a little chest lift from extension to neutral. You can go ahead and go up into a curl if you would like, but just being able to feel a little bit of movement up top. You can play with a little circular movement each direction with those little chest lifts. And then feel free to move your spine fitter into a slightly different spot, continuing with that movement. All right, and that at least gives you a little bit of mobility at the top part of your spine. All right, you guys, I hope you enjoyed those and that you have a great golf vacation. Thank you very much again for joining us for this Balanced Body video, and I look forward to seeing you out on the course.